In August of 1590, a man named John White stepped off a boat onto a small island off the coast of North Carolina. He was coming home. His wife was here. His daughter was here. And somewhere on this island was a 3-year-old granddaughter he had never even met. A little girl born just days before he'd left, the very first English child ever born on American soil. He'd been gone 3 years. 3 years of storms, war, and broken promises trying to get back to them. And when he finally walked through the gates of the settlement he'd helped build, there was no one there. Not his wife, not his daughter, not the baby, not one single person out of the 117 colonists he'd left behind. No bodies, no blood, no sign of a fight. Just one word carved carefully into a wooden post. More than 4 centuries later, historians are still trying to figure out what that word actually meant, and where an entire American colony disappeared to. This is the story of Roanoke. This story starts a few years earlier with a guy back in England named Sir Walter Raleigh who had a big idea and the Queen's blessing to try it. England wanted a piece of the New World. Spain already had colonies. France was making moves. And Raleigh convinced Queen Elizabeth that England needed a permanent foothold in America. A real settlement, not just explorers passing through. His first attempt, back in 1585, didn't go great. Tensions with the local native population got bad fast, and that colony barely lasted a year before everyone packed up and left. So in 1587, Raleigh tried again. This time, bigger. This time, meant to last. 117 people, men, women, and children, boarded ships and made the 10-week journey across the Atlantic. 2 of the women on board were pregnant. Let that sink in for a second. These weren't soldiers or explorers looking for adventure. These were families, people betting everything on a fresh start in a place they'd never seen. Leading them was a man named John White, an artist by training, appointed governor of this brand new colony. They landed on Roanoke Island in July, set up inside an old abandoned fort, and got to work. It didn't take long for things to get hard. Supplies were running low. Relations with the local Algonquian people were tense, complicated by violence from the previous colony that still hadn't been forgotten. Winter was coming, and this group had exactly 0 backup plan if things went wrong. So the colonists asked White, he knew the route better than anyone, to sail back to England and bring help. White didn't want to go. His daughter Eleanor had just given birth days before to a baby girl they named Virginia Dare, the first English child ever born in the Americas. He was leaving behind a newborn granddaughter, but the colony needed him, so he left. He thought he'd be back within a few months. Here's where things go sideways. And honestly, none of it was John White's fault. He gets back to England, and the entire country is in crisis mode. Spain is preparing to invade. Every available ship, every able-bodied sailor, every resource the English Navy has. It's all being pulled toward one thing, stopping the Spanish Armada. White tries to get a ship. He can't. The government won't release one, not even for a rescue mission to a struggling colony across the ocean. This is a matter of national survival, and Roanoke isn't the priority. Months turn into a year. The war with Spain drags on. Finally, in 1588, White manages to scrape together 2 small ships, not to bring settlers back, but to bring supplies out to the colony he'd left behind. It's not much, but it's something. They don't make it. Privateers attack the ships before they're even out of English waters. White himself gets wounded. Both ships turn back, damaged and empty-handed. Another year passes. Another. By the time White finally secures passage back to Roanoke, it's August of 1590. 3 full years since he last saw his daughter. 3 years since he held his granddaughter for the first and only time as a newborn. He has no idea what he's about to find. August 18th, 1590. White's ship anchors off the coast, and as they approach the island, something already feels wrong. No smoke from cooking fires, no sounds, no people waving from the shore, no one running down to greet them. White and his crew make their way to the settlement, and it's abandoned, completely. The houses have been carefully taken apart, not destroyed, dismantled, like someone packed up on purpose and took their time doing it. There's a new fence now, a stout wooden palisade that wasn't there when White left. Someone built this after he'd gone, and that's when White sees it, carved into a tree near the entrance. 3 letters, CRO. He keeps walking. And on one of the main posts of the new palisade, in what White himself described as fair capital letters, a full word, CROATOAN. Here's the thing most people get wrong about this story. White wasn't horrified when he saw that word. He was relieved. Before he'd left 3 years earlier, White and the colonists had made an agreement. If they ever had to leave the settlement, they would carve their destination somewhere visible. And if they were leaving because of danger, under attack, in distress, they would also carve a cross above it as a warning. White searched everywhere. No cross. Nowhere. To him, this was as close to good news as he could have hoped for. CROATOAN was the name of a nearby island, home to a native tribe the colonists had actually built a friendly relationship with. White immediately assumed his family and the rest of the colonists had relocated there voluntarily, peacefully. No danger, no cross. He was almost certain he knew exactly where to find them. He just needed to get there. This is the part of the story that turns a solvable mystery into a 400-year-old question. White wanted to sail straight for CROATOAN Island. It was close. He had a lead. He was maybe hours away from reuniting with his daughter and meeting his granddaughter for the second time in her life. And then, the weather turned, fast. The ship's anchor cable snapped. Conditions got so dangerous that the crew told White they couldn't risk the trip. Not with the weather this bad, not with the season this late. They needed to turn back for England immediately, or risk losing the ship and everyone on it. White had no choice. He watched the coastline disappear behind him, still not knowing for certain if his family was alive. He never got back. Funding fell apart. War with Spain kept draining resources. Other rescue attempts were planned and then quietly abandoned. John White died years later, in Ireland. He never went back, never confirmed his daughter survived, never got an answer. 20 years after the colonists vanished, the settlers at Jamestown, England's next attempt at an American colony, heard rumors from local tribes about pale-skinned people living among native communities in the region. They investigated. They found nothing conclusive. And after that, the trail goes cold. For centuries, for 400 years, theories about Roanoke ranged from the reasonable to the completely wild. Some people believed the colonists were killed by hostile tribes. Some believed they starved. Some genuinely believed they vanished through some kind of supernatural event. That theory got a lot of attention thanks to a certain TV show, but it has zero historical basis. The most consistent, evidence-backed theory has always been the simplest one. John White was right. The colonists went to CROATOAN, and in the last 15 years, archaeology has started backing that up. Researchers with the First Colony Foundation have been excavating sites on Hatteras Island, which is what CROATOAN Island is called today, and they found something significant. English-made artifacts, a hammer, gun parts, and critically, small flakes of hammer scale, byproduct from blacksmithing, something the local native population historically wouldn't have had reason to produce themselves. That evidence points to actual English colonists living and working at that location, blending into the community there, possibly for generations. There's also a newer piece of this puzzle. Researchers studying White's own 1590 hand-drawn map noticed something strange. 2 patches had been added to it, covering something up. When modern imaging technology let them see underneath those patches, they found a symbol marking a specific inland location, a place that may have been a planned fallback point the colonists had discussed before White ever left. So here's where the evidence points today. The Roanoke colonists most likely didn't vanish in some violent, mysterious catastrophe. They probably did exactly what that carved word said. They relocated. They may have integrated with the CROATOAN people, married into the tribe, and simply became part of a different community entirely. But probably, and may have, are not the same as proof. Nobody has ever found a definitive, unbroken paper trail connecting those 117 colonists to a confirmed outcome. No mass grave, no confirmed descendants, no final answer written down anywhere. America's oldest cold case is still technically open. Here's what I keep coming back to with this story. John White didn't lose his family to some dramatic massacre. He didn't find blood or wreckage or bodies. What he found was almost worse in a way. A single word that gave him just enough hope to believe they were alive. and just enough uncertainty to make sure he'd spend the rest of his life not knowing for sure. A storm took that hope away from him, not violence, not tragedy in the way we usually think about it. Just bad timing, bad weather, and a war on the other side of the ocean that had nothing to do with his family at all. Virginia Dare, the baby girl born on that island, the very first English child to draw breath in America, never got a documented life beyond her second birthday. We don't know if she grew up. We don't know if she lived a long life among the CROATOAN people, had children of her own, and became part of a bloodline that exists somewhere in America today. We don't know if she died as a toddler, 3 years old, an ocean away from the grandfather who never stopped trying to reach her. That's the part of this story that doesn't get talked about enough. Everyone focuses on the mystery, the spooky carved word, the empty settlement. But at the center of it is a grandfather who left to get help, did everything right, and still never found out what happened to his own family. 4 centuries later, Virginia Dare doesn't have a grave anyone can visit. She doesn't have an ending anyone can confirm. She just has a question mark where her story should be. And in a strange way, that's kept her more alive in American memory than a tombstone ever could. Somewhere, buried in the ground or lost to time completely, is the actual answer to what happened to 117 people who came to America looking for a new beginning, and instead became its oldest unsolved question. Some stories end. This one just continues, quietly, somewhere in the ground of North Carolina, waiting for someone to finally dig up the truth. Follow the ink vault. We go where the others don't.